This week, we got gay and rape innuendos, because that's Cardfight Vanguard for you, which I had to watch on my phone this week because, once again, Crunchyroll is having problems, and this time I can't get episodes to play on my computer. But that is my own personal problem. So, yeah, let's start off with, as was last week, we'll go in ascending order of relevancy of plot. First up, the Kai vs. Tetsu moment, the moment many a shippers are probably talking about. Kai actually imagining Aichi all moe talking about how important fighting him is. Yeah, to not notice a little gayness to this scene is kind of hard not to do. I like this moment overall. First up, addressing the gay thing, though I still like Aichi and Misaki, I think it could be cool if it turned out maybe Kai was into Aichi. And going into how this scene has a lot of importance to it, just in general, it's a great moment for Kai, because it sort of shows that everything that's been happening has an effect on him. He is changing for the better because he's around Aichi, because he's around the rest of the other characters. Like in the original Cardfight Vanguard, and in a lot of other shonen stuff in general, it's often made out to see that the masculine rival character doesn't give a crap about anything until the end when you need it for plot reasons. No, here it's just like he is being affected. He wants to get better as a person, and he sees Aichi as a symbol of that. If this show goes in the route that the Psyqualia consumes Aichi for a bit, that will make all that moment the more tragic. But as it stands right now, I like the idea that Kai recognizes where his life is going, and he wants to protect that, and that matters to him. That's a very good character moment and a very good scene. So I really like that moment. Moving on to major thing number 2, we get the return of what could be my favorite trio in this whole anime, Aichi, Kamui, and Kyo, going to a couple card shops to beat AL4 Foo Fighter members and get them to go away. This is good for a multitude of reasons. First up, it's always nice to just see different scenery, like other shops, other characters, even if they're just one-offs. But it was also nice because it's, again, our characters have forward momentum. Aichi is choosing to go and help card fighters and save the day and be a good guy. That's great for making us want to root for him, but it also gets into an interesting idea. Now, Kyo is doing this for a negative reason. He wants Aichi to be consumed by Psyqualia so he has a good practice partner so he can go up against Ren. But Aichi is actually doing this for a positive reason. Aichi actually gets into the idea of being a hero. He likes the idea that he's going around helping people and saving the day. This is important because Aichi has spent most of his life feeling powerless and that he can't do anything, but here he is getting some power. Here he is feeling stronger and more confident as he fights stronger people and gets in more arguably dangerous situations with all these electrocuting and all this stuff. So that leads to an interesting concept of when his Psyqualia manifests further. Maybe he will give into it, and he probably will. We need a plot. But yeah, that's interesting to think about. Sort of that idea that the best of intentions can go awry. Just as with Kai, he has the best of intentions to want to protect what's important to him, but is just having the intentions enough to protect his friends? Think about it, it's really an interesting idea. And as we continue to go deeper into the thinking too much about this train, let's move on to Misaki versus Ren. This fight went pretty obvious. I think we all figured Ren and the Shadow Paladins would win. We showcased the stuff in the trial deck, which is neat, especially because it kind of feels like that's where the best Shadow Paladin cards are coming from this time around. But I think the main thing, and I'm sure I can't be the only one who noticed this, is it just me, or did this whole set of scenes feel a little sexually charged? Maybe a little rapey at a couple points. Actually, very rapey. So starting it off with, we get Ren's introduction. I like this because they don't immediately show off Ren as dark or evil. Ren is shown off as being this weirdo. Getting back to the Kai and Tetsuo thing, I like the insinuation that from Tetsu that Ren is just crazy. He's not this evil, take over the world, wants destruction. He's just a lunatic who's been consumed by a weird psychic power. This is neat because it sort of puts it into a more smaller perspective. I've redone this video 3 or 4 times. I forget if I've said it this take. Anyways, But no, when Ren shows up, and first up, I like the Asuka joke. She's just pining for attention. That was cute, and Ren just sort of blows her off and immediately shows interest in Misaki. This obviously has some very obvious symbolism or metaphor, whatever term you want to use, to seem like a romantic thing. That, oh, well, I'm not interested in this girl, but this girl, she shows more midriff. Then the sort of flirtiness happens. I don't like that. Then Shin decides to show up. It's just a little distracting. Just write the guy out at this point. But when you get into the whole card fight between the two, Ren is obviously being very aggressive, but more in the sense that he's saying lines like, I want to consume you, my darkness will consume you, you'll see my way, I can come back whenever I want. That feels very power struggle-ish, and a lot of times with female characters, power struggle type relationships do end up coming along as seeming sort of rapey and sexual based. I don't know if that's intentional. I don't know if I'm reading into this too much. Don't hate me if you think I am. But I do think that is a sort of thing here. And then, of course, you get the bit where Misaki gets shocked and Asuka is just like, oh, what a cute scream. Yeah, that feels a little on the nose. I don't necessarily mind it. I think it's done okay. I don't really know where it's going to go, if anywhere at all. But it is an interesting angle to take for it, and it does feel somewhat unique, and it makes Ren feel threatening on another level. He's got sort of a darkness to him besides just, I want a card fight. Like, obviously, he's not going to do anything R-rated or anything like that, but it is nice to think about, and it does sort of give it an extra level of creep. Other than that, everything was pretty good, like the fight, nice all around. But what did you think? In the comment section below, give me your thoughts on this episode. If you think I may be reading into it a little too much between Ren and Misaki, but I do like the flirting, and it is kind of a neat angle to take. As for this week's Vanguard question, so Phantom Blaster Dragon got revealed this week. Obviously, the set's coming out soon, so we know why. And the effect has people a little torn. On the one hand, it has the potential to be very powerful and be a very big blowout, but it's also a little situational. If your opponent's got a full board, they're not going to get to the 0 rear guards for you to use the damage inflicting effect. And yeah, 15k and a critical is good, but remember, by the time you get to the point where you're going to use this thing, your opponent probably has been stocking up on perfect guards. And, well, the rest of the shadows are a little lackluster, so I don't necessarily think this thing is a be-all, end-all, game-defining card in the same way something like Dragonic Waterfall or the Oracle one, I can't remember that card's name. I think it's good, and it can be very powerful, and it can be very blow-up, but as it stands, I think shadows are looking to be a little more on the situational side, and I don't really know how they're going to perform, but we'll see that in a couple weeks. But tell me what you think of all that below, and as always, click to like, click to subscribe, and join us next week to see if there's more weird innuendos. Also, not sure when I'll get next week's video out, because obviously, Autumn Fest is going to be here for us in the tri-state area / Northeast next weekend, so I'm not sure when I'm going to get it out. I don't want to skip next week, but as of right now, I'm not quite sure where this is going. So if to anyone who will be attending that event with me, good luck to you.